I forgot. Donate more to this movie. Keep the rest for like rooting.
Okay, welcome everyone. I'm going to repeat what I was just saying now. I was saying that we have been experiencing some technical glitches, but we're here now, and thank you so much for your patience. I apologize. We would like to apologize for the delay. So please allow us a couple of more minutes as other people are joining. Let's just give them time to join. We'll allow them 2 more minutes for other people to join. Welcome everyone, once again. Okay, in the meantime, I'm going to share the rules. The rules are just that please keep your mic muted. There will be time for questions in between as the presenter is going. And then I will allow you time to unmute your mic and speak. There will also be a comment section. As you know, there's a comment section on Zoom. Please, at any point, you're welcome to leave your question in there or raise your hand at any time, and I will give you a chance to speak.
I think we can start.
Okay. Great. All right, we'll be starting. Welcome everyone. Once again, thank you so much for your patience. We really, really appreciate it. We had technical challenges, but we're here now, and I believe that is all that matters at this stage. So without wasting your time, I'm going to let Mr. Yabela Tlali start with his presentation of the day. YDT Group can help you with services such as pre-qualifying your credit record. When we pre-qualify, we go through your credit record to check how far you are, and if you need to be rehabilitated, we help you with that as well. We also help you apply for a home loan. We do all the paperwork for you through you obviously giving us power of attorney, and we help you with all those things. We do not sign on it, so please rest assured we don't commit fraud. We also have in-house attorneys that we work with. They are our official partner, Nazipho Tlali attorneys. They're part of YDT Group, and they come in as our conveyancers and transfer attorneys. And we also help you manage your property. So if you need to sell your property or you want to buy property anywhere in South Africa, we are there to help you at any point. So without wasting time, I'm going to hand over to Mr. Yabela Tlali to start with the presentation. Thank you. Thank you for joining us.
All right. Thank you, Madam Siamo. Good afternoon, everybody. You see now the videos are off. I wanted to see smiles.
Good afternoon.
I love smiles, to say. All right. All right. Once again, for the last time, we really do, because it is something that we really don't like. We like excellence. So this Zoom today just decided to act on us. It did not. It just deleted our previous meetings, the links. So we just realized, and we had to change it urgently so that we could be able to send to everybody. So please do apologize. I believe in the future we will be using this link almost all the time, but we will work on it in advance, and should anything happen again, we will get it sorted on time. Thank you for tuning in. All right. Today we are getting on something else. You know me, Mos. I get we do different topics every week. For those who have not been joining us every week, or perhaps are joining us for the first time. So we do a new topic every week. We honestly don't show the topic on time simply because we just want for everybody to understand and be ready so that you come. We will be improving on some of the things within a short space of time. We will be doing also snippets of some videos just to give a summary for the people on the YouTube channel. But we would really encourage everybody to watch everything if possible, because the snippet you will not understand as much as we'd like you to do so. And like I said, most of the things you will still need a professional to assist you to do, to implement them. We are here for you. But we're just giving the information that we are not supposed to be giving you according to the standards and norms. Even some people in property have attested that some of these things have never been spoken about because they were kept as secrets for the only selected few. So I like to burst such things because God is not a God of secrets, He's a God of everything, but it's fine. We're here to help everybody to build their wealth. That's all we need to do. That's all we're about, creating wealth and building legacies. Now, as we go ahead, today's topic is everybody's back. What now? Because we are talking about, for a while, about the interest rates are low, estate agents are at home, the best time to buy, the deals are here. There was a lot of drama on social media. Some people were saying they're being trapped, don't fall for it. We explained those, we worked into it, and we worked everybody through it. Now what happens? Now let's go through those things. Do you remember this screen? If you've been following us, you will remember we have shared this. The factors that are influencing the market, the interest rate is still has not changed, 7.25%. It was 9.75 in January. And the repo rate is 3.75% for those who were not with us to understand the difference. The interest rate, it is what? The base rate that the banks charge us. The repo rate, it is what the Reserve Bank charges the banks. So it was 6.5 in January. It is now standing at 3.75. We said lockdown and the trade was influenced. It's also influenced the market, but it was influenced the market when we were on lockdown because we couldn't really trade. The economy is expected to shrink by 7%, the GDP to contract. And globally at 5%, that's expected. This is the only addition on the screen because it's new statistics. And then the other factor that influences the market, it is the estate agents. They do have a big influence in the market. Now, what is the market currently as we speak today? Of course, the economy is still expected to contract. Those statistics are still the same. The interest rate is still the same. The lockdown is still there. However, the trade has gone haywire. I was assisting and I was speaking to a couple of agents and I was assisting a couple of my clients, speaking to the banks, working through our bond origination, speaking to the attorneys. Things have gone to absolutely quiet to haywire. Simply because the estate agents are back. And the market has been still, people have been wanting to buy, things have been holding people back. Now people are running mad. Now what does that mean for us? Okay? But before we say what that means and how we're going to do it, what have you noticed are the changes? Which is the first part of the Q&A. You can write the notes on the screen, or you can just mute your mic and speak on the Q&A. Over to you, Tam. I just want to hear what have you noticed, because the whole point of this exercise, it is not just for you to get information, it is for you to also learn how to do things. You must learn how to read the market yourself. You must learn how to be able to can see deals yourself, which deals will be good, which deals will not be good. So that's why this is one of the first time ever since we started the webinar, I'm asking you, what have you noticed about the market now? Any takers? Over to you, Tiamo.
All right, so I like how quick we are to go into the question segment today. The question to repeat for everyone is, what have you noticed about the markets since everyone has been back at work? And you're welcome at this stage to raise your hand or go to the comment section. We have a comment from Tobeka. Tobeka says she has noticed that sellers are eager to sell and they're open to negotiations. That's what she has noticed.
Excellent. Anybody else?
I'm sure people are still writing. We'll just allow a couple of more seconds for comments or anyone to raise their hand at this stage.
They can still even ask questions about the previous slides as well, if there are any questions.
Okay. All right. Nothing as yet. I think what, yes, someone wanted to speak. You can go ahead, please. Oh, okay. I think what I have noticed, if I may come in, is that the interest rate is now also going a bit higher. It's not as low as it was before. And on a side note, which has nothing to do with property per se, it's something that I'm personally interested in. The markets in the previous weeks, market shares had been particularly lower, and now they're going up again. So that's my input.
Excellent. Now we can go right ahead. Yes, everybody is correct. You are correct. And of course, the interest rate, there will be chance takers now and again, but it has not officially gone up. So there'll be one or two people who will always take a chance and charge more and whatnot. But the market shares were just the indication of where we are. All right, now we're going forward. Now what? Okay, and Tobeka was correct. The sellers are willing to sell simply because the sellers were there. The sellers, remember what I said in the lockdown. I said the sellers are pressed to sell. They were pressed to sell. They are still pressed to sell. Of course, the majority. Now, the market is open. That's why there's haywire and super activity. That is why there's a lot of activity right now, because people were just waiting to be told, now you can work. So they are now working. Now, but the key factor is, which was important, and Tobeka highlighted on that as well, is that the sellers are even willing to negotiate. So in terms of the pressure, in terms of the sellers themselves, those that were under pressure to sell, nothing has really changed much. So which means the market is still good to buy. All right. Now what? Here are the things that I would like to just encourage and motivate people to do currently. Number one, you increase your income. Increase your income and or buy. Income does not always only increase by buying. We will get down, I'll break every step of this in the next few slides so that you understand what I mean. The first one, you really need to increase your income or buy. It's the best time to do so. And then you lower your risk. Lower your risk, again, I will explain later in the next slide, and then protect your wealth, and then build a legacy. Now, this is to happen in these steps exactly, so that you can be able to effectively implement everything. All right. The increasing of the income. Look, there's a couple of things that you can increase your income, or a couple of ways that you can do to increase your income. The first and the typical one is more tenants. Now, getting more tenants, it is not a one-sided or a straightforward process. Somebody might say, how do I increase the tenants? I'm at 100%. You can increase the tenants by even buying, number one. You can increase your tenants by utilizing what you already have. If, for example, you have a house, you build back rooms. You are increasing. You did not buy it, but you are increasing your tenants, which is actually cheaper, faster, but brings much more income. You increase your tenants in many other ways. Just in the increasing of tenants, again, I say, it is just a webinar on its own. And then you add value to your property. That's how you increase your income. You add value to your property. Your people have been complaining. I'm talking to landlords that have been landlords for a while. About 80% of tenants, with a study that we have done generally, were not happy with the condition of the property that they live in, or they would like to have more. Now you add value by increasing income. Everybody understands. You want more, you will then be ready to, you must be willing to pay for it. So by adding value, you add extra things. Put in that Wi-Fi. Put in that gate that the tenants have been asking for because they don't feel safe and you've been postponing. Put in that gate. Put in the burglar bars. You do so many things to add value that you can increase your income with already the existing tenants that are there. Put in bathrooms. If you have back rooms and they don't all have bathrooms, put in bathrooms, put in toilets inside. Do something that is going to add value that therefore you can ask for more income. Remember, I said increasing income is actually much with what you have already is cheaper and quicker than you buying extra. Of course, buying is, like I said, it's still a good time and always a good thing if it's a good deal. But sometimes you just need to add value with what you have. And then create exclusivity. Because remember, if you have a student accommodation, you are not the only person that has student accommodation. There are other people who are running student accommodation. What makes yours unique? What makes yours different? If you have commercial property that you are running, what makes yours different? What makes yours unique? And so on and so on and so on. By creating exclusivity, you are then drawing, it sets you high above than everybody else. It makes you the first preference for the tenants who are looking to have, because you will have something that your competitors do not have. And then reduce your expenses. Now, somebody might ask, but then how do I reduce my expenses if then I'm going to add an extra toilet, da, 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 da. You can have once-off expenses, increase in expenses just once off, or you can decrease general expenses, like in some landlords still say electricity is included, and then the bill comes back month end, it is 3,000, and you only have 7, 8 pieces. You reduce the expenses. You just put in prepaid meters for every room. If it's different rooms, everybody has their own prepaid meter you're going to spend once. It's not a lot of money. But then from there, you are no longer liable for their electricity usage. Put in prepaid water meter. Then you don't have to pay for the water. There are just so many different things that you can do to reduce your expenses that are there, so that then you make sure it is, you understand. You put in unlimited Wi-Fi on the fiber instead of buying data if you're giving your tenants internet. There's just always something better you can do that will result in you spending less. So these are just some of the ways. Like I said, this increasing your income is a full webinar on its own, just increasing income. All right. Now, how do you lower your risk? Now, there's a couple of things that you can do to lower your risk in the process, because now the risk still remains. Because what's going to happen is less people are going to be able to buy because of, we discussed this previously, because of the economy, income was less. I mean, us alone, our bond origination, our credit rehabilitation part of our business, which is where we help people who cannot buy immediately, and has increased by 30% at least. Now, just since the lockdown, where we now have to assist people to prepare them to be ready when they come back. Other people who were previously pre-qualified have had to be on hold. For example, it's people that are employed by the hospitality industry, which is still not yet really back, except the restaurants and whatnot that have recently come back. So their income has become less. Now this person cannot buy immediately. So their buying have now been delayed a little bit further by a couple of months. Now, what then that means is there are going to be more people that are going to look for accommodation to rent. There's going to be people that will be selling their homes, that had more than one property that cannot keep up, or the ones that have lost their jobs but now cannot pay the bonds, so that they have to sell. So they have to rent after they do that. So what's going to happen is there's going to be a serious influx in tenants in general. So now, of course, that automatically means then with the previous slide that your income it's got good prospects of it increasing. Now coming to then the risk. Now you have to look at different things, because now remember, we are not just doing this for now. We are building. We are creating wealth and building legacies, which is why it is mission, you understand, through our one-stop property shop, which is our vision, conveniently so. Now, the first thing to lower the risk is the location. Location is the first thing to lower the risk. Because then if you, in the location, you choose a good location, you automatically become the preferred person. Example, if you are offering student accommodation, the closer you are to the campus that you are targeting to provide accommodation for, which is location, the better the chances are that tenants are going to choose you first, because then they do not have to walk longer distances, or you do not have to provide transport extra for them, which is an extra expense. You understand? Secondly, spread the risk. Spread the risk. This is one of the things that was, should I say, underrated. It was never shared previously to manage the risk. People would say, no, I'd rather put in a family in my property, because then I know they're going to take care of the property. They're going to do this. Remember, this.
No Wi-Fi.
Remember, this is an investment. It is going to have some wear and tear. Just like you having a business vehicle, if you are doing delivery services, the kilometers are going to go up in that vehicle. You're going to change tires more frequent than a person who's using a vehicle for personal use. So the same for an investment property. Be ready, be prepared that you're going to spend more than a person who owns and who's using the property as their primary residence in terms of maintenance. Then you plan accordingly. You can outsource maintenance. If you've got a bigger portfolio, you can employ 1 or 2 people who can full-time basis, who can do all the maintenance work, which then lowers your income, your expenses. Now, by spreading the risk, it means you have more tenants in the same property. If it is a 3-bedroom house, lower the risk. Put 3 people in the property, 1 per room. You have lowered the risk. What are the benefits of lowering that risk, of doing it like that? When one of them cannot pay, you still have 2 other people that can pay. If you have one family, if they lose and you don't know the income setup, sometimes there might only be one breadwinner. They lose their job. What now? Now you're not getting your income. You understand? Now that property alone, the income is now locked because you only have one tenant. So spread your risk. Put more tenants in places where you can. Of course, we're not talking about all your properties, but as much as you can. We would advise you when we work through your portfolio to say, where must you spread your risk? Where must you not? Where must you concentrate? And where must you understand, release and have more people, or rather have less people? Now choose tenants well. Remember, you are now, it is going, in terms of the renting market, it is now starting to become a landlord market. Because more people, like I said, are starting to look for places to rent. I can even tell you, just in the last 2 weeks alone, we've had to place so many people in different places that most of the time we couldn't even accommodate them. We've had to work with colleagues so that they can be able to handle the influx of new tenants that are coming back. Now, you then choose well. That means then you have an option to choose. Don't rush and choose for the first tenant. Choose well. Check what is their income. How are they? Are you comfortable that they'll be able to pay? So choose your tenants well by lowering. Then you're lowering your risk as well. Put a higher deposit. You would rather spread the deposit over 2 to 3 months as the landlord than being strict and say, no, I want it all up front and you must only pay this much. But when you spread it, you can then ask for a higher deposit, 1.5 months of a deposit, 2 months of a deposit worth of the rentals, so that then you know that when this person decides to jump, one, you are sorted, you can still be able to cover the rent, your bond or your expenses. Secondly, that then you have got enough time to look for somebody else. And if they make any damages on your property, you even have a bigger amount that you can have in terms of holding, that you can be able to fix your property and move forward. You understand? And then you must mix your portfolio. That is one of the best ways to lower your risk. Now, I'm sure we've all heard us say, don't ever put your eggs in one basket, but the property is so big, you can put your eggs all in property. It is just big. But you can then mix your portfolio. Don't only put students in your places. Don't only put working people in your places. Don't only go for commercial. Don't only go. Mix your portfolio according to the need and the risk. Now we're talking like the guys by JC. Be versatile. You understand? With your portfolio, don't just only have one single tenant. Yes, it's good to specialize, You focus on your specialty, because then that might be the next question that you might have. But I want to specialize. Yes, specialize, and then have other properties that are doing different things. You are still in property. Then have other newer properties that are doing different things. Then you are lowering your risk. You understand? It also, when you've lowered your risk, it also gives you time when it's time to liquidate. When your risk is lower and you have no choice but to sell, you are not under pressure to sell on the spot and immediately, because then you have lowered your risk so well such that you can be able to not be under pressure when it's time for you to sell. You can be able to take your time before you can sell. Now, how do you do to protect your wealth? Day one asset. I will remind everybody that might have forgotten, and those that have not have missed the previous webinars. A day one asset, it is the asset that we always advise for you to buy. In fact, when we assist you, we always get you day one asset. If it's not a day one asset, you would rather not be involved in the transaction. A day one asset, it is where you are buying a deal, a property that on day one, you are making profit. You are making more money than you are spending. And because that's what we have defined as an asset. An asset is what is bringing you income. So this one, it means then it is bringing you income from day one. So protect yourself by doing a day one asset. Then in that way, you have lowered your risk. When it is time to sell or whatever, or when anything happens, you don't have to pay from your pocket. Should you lose your current income that you are getting and you now need to maintain this property, it will maintain itself because it is a day one asset. And then you must buy right. Buy right. Yes, it's a day one asset, but also buy right in terms of the price as well. You understand? The price, the location, we have done the webinar on that already. How do you buy right? So you buy right. You buy with the end in mind at the beginning. The best business coaches would tell you that any business that you embark on, you must already embark with an exit strategy that is clear. That at this time, I would exit the business, or if I were to exit, I would exit it like this. Now, buying right, you should be able to have your exit strategy there. If I were to sell tomorrow, those are some of the questions you ask to check if you are buying right. If I were to sell tomorrow, would I make a loss? Would I make a profit? Would I just break even? Those are some of the questions. But like I said, with all these things where we are able to assist you to do it properly. And then use the right entity to protect your wealth. And most people have asked, and that we do that webinar. It is going to take me a very long time to do that webinar because the right entity for Yabela, it is not the right entity for Siamo. Definitely not. And just because the right entity for Yabela was correct, was this for property X, was a trust or was a company for property X. When he buys property Y, again, it does not mean that the company is still the right entity for that property. So it becomes very tricky to put that into a webinar where now people need to go and decide and work it out for themselves. It's one of those things that are best done on a one-on-one advice or coaching, or when we are assisting you to purchase a property, when we can say this property specifically would be best obtained or bought through this entity because of the plan, the vision, sometimes even the location of the property can even decide which entity you must buy it with. And those are the things that people do not understand just on face value, and you would not be able to understand unless you are assisted by us or people that work like us, which are very few, who can walk you through and be able to guide you properly. And then the next stage is through YDT Financial Advisors to protect your wealth, because it involves many stages. It involves many things which I'm going to touch on now on the next slide, which is now building a legacy. It involves long-term planning. To build a legacy involves long-term planning. You need to plan properly. You plan properly. You don't just do or move with what is happening. You plan properly. What is my end time? What is my end game? What is my objective? What do I want to do in the next year? How many do I want to buy? How do I want to manage it? You plan properly and longer. And some of those questions, yes, you are correct. You cannot be able to answer them by yourself. The second step is estate planning. Estate planning is not something to do with estate agency. An estate, it is what you become when you pass away. Or rather, you are an estate. Let me put it like that, as a person. That's why when you are insolvent estate and you are an insolvent estate, you are and then when you pass away, they say you are a deceased estate. So an estate planning is then your financial objectives, not just only on property, holistically, which through our IDT financial advisors, we have in-house financial planners, we have qualified financial planners as well, which is why it's a very convenient one-stop shop. So with estate planning, then we're able to talk to us. I will make an example, what gets involved in estate planning. When you're planning an estate, you might say, I am now an adult, I am so many years old, I am earning 25,000 rands a month, I have 3 children. I want, if anything were to happen to me now, including being disabled or losing my life, I want my children to be taken care of in this manner, that manner, and that manner. I want my family to still receive my income, as an example, even when I'm not here. Now, how do you know how to do that? In our estate planning processes and systems, we are able to work with you and check, okay, now for a family to continue to receive your 25,000 rand income, even when you are not here, this and this and this needs to be done and needs to be in place. And that's where the trust babies come from, trust fund babies come from. They don't just come only from trust. Most of the time, those trusts are registered from good estate planning that was done, and then the trusts are registered, or if they're already registered, then assets are moved or things are done from where they are and are moved into the trust so that the trust baby can be taken care of by trust funds that are in the trust that were prepared by you when you're still alive. They don't just happen. All right, you involving and training the next generation. This one I'm going to do a firecracking webinar one of these days. I'm already planning the content for it. People do not understand the value and the power in involving the next generation already now, your children, starting them from a young age. I know one of the colleagues who is here who's already doing things to train kids to be great entrepreneurs. You involve your children now. I'm sure all of us here, we know a story where the parents were doing so well. They passed away, the kids squandered everything, and everything was done, dusted, gone in no time. You can only account that to one thing. Kids were not involved at the beginning. Kids were not trained properly at the beginning because they were told, no, you involve your children on everything as soon as they understand it. Now, the value of doing that, it is not just only you are training them or you are exposing them to your things or you are burdening them with adult things. No, you need wisdom to know how to involve them into these things at their age. In all their stages, you're buying a house, you're buying a car, you discuss with them, you involve them, you negotiate with them, you tell them, you show them, so that they get to see in decision making, so that they get to learn on how to do it. I will just show you just a quick example of something that I did with my son, and it stuck with him today. We did it up, he's now 10, we did it with him when he was about 4 or 5, and he still carries it even today. What I did with them, you can even do this with your own kids if you think it's a good idea. What I did do, I still even do today with my kids. I say every year, whatever amount of money you save for yourself, not to ask from me, from the money you are given, whatever you save up at the end of the year, I will double it. If you have saved up 1,000 rand at the end of the year, I will give you another 1,000 rand on top of it. Then you have it. So I started with my son when he was 4, 5, going 5. During that year, and he started, he was at crash. They would be told to bring money to come and buy stuff, and he would save up and he would save up, and he did well. And then the following year, he saved up. Now he was more excited. Now he was going to grade R, I think. Now he had this money. Now at the end of the year, he had about 100 rand, I believe. Yes, it was 100 rand. It was 99, 90 something, but I rounded off, say 100 rand, and then I gave him another 100 rand. So I said, all right, now here you've got 200 rand. We are going to go buy, you're going to spend your money how you want, it's your money. But just keep one thing in mind. Next year, I'm going to double it again. So if you spend it all, you start from zero. If you spend half, which is only what you spent or on what you saved, then I will double on my doubling. It's your choice. But it's your, let's go to the shops. We spent 3 hours with a 5-year-old, ladies and gentlemen, moving from shop to shop because he understood now that it's not just a toy that he must cry for. Now he understood that this toy cost me 50 rand. If I buy one toy, then I only have 50 rand, but I want 3 toys. Then he started to reason with himself, debate with himself. We moved literally at a shopping mall for 3 hours. At some point, my wife could not take it. I said, no, please wait, let's just let it. If at the end of the day, the young man only spent just under 100 bucks, got more toys, he understood the value of money, and he knew that now next time going forward, he cannot just spend what he has because now he can get more when he keeps it or when he does something else with it. And it kept growing. The next time he bought something that was going to do something better with it for him. And like I said, it's a total webinar on its own, but involve the next generation now. So that's the only way you can build legacy, because there is going to come a time where you cannot work anymore, or you are going to leave them with it. And if they are not well prepared, they will not be able to continue to grow it from there. Life insurance, one of the things that it is totally underrated. In fact, for a long time, it was given a bad name. A black community for a long time did not want life insurance. They even, I used to sell insurance. That's how I started to work, and that's how I got involved in financial planning. They used to call me, should you die? When I walked in, they said, here comes should you die? And they would laugh. They would laugh. Now, it is totally underrated. Just playing your life insurance properly. Did you know that upon your death, you can even double or even triple your worth by using your life insurance properly? All right, let's leave it. That's another webinar. Next one, listening and following the unction. There's no spelling error there. I cannot deny who I am. For all those that are Christian people, that is who you are. You follow the gut. You follow the Holy Ghost leading and guiding you. That's how sometimes you build the legacy. Because sometimes there will come a time where you just know right now it is not the right time to buy another property. You do not have the reasons, but you know you can feel it in your unction. This is not the right time to buy some more. Only to find out within 2-3 months later, a storm is going to hit you. And should you have bought that property, it was going to be one of the downfalls. I'll make an example about one of the great guys who was great, and he was a billionaire, and he was working apart with me at some point, and he's now late. About a year or two before he was late, in our coachings and our talkings and him guiding me through learning and understanding property, he says to me, listen, right now, I just don't feel like it is time for me to buy more. I feel God is telling me right now, I just need to better improve and work on what I have and not buy any and not build anymore. And at that point in time, he had learned everywhere. And he said, no, I'm not going to. A year later, he was diagnosed with a dreadful disease. A year to 2 years later, he died. Now, he had started he had plans for a huge project. Those projects, chances are, would have come to a halt. It was going to compromise cash flow. So that's the importance of an unction. You need to understand this. And for believers, for a long time, people thought and believed that the people who need to walk in the Spirit are the pastors. No, I'm a business person. I don't need to know the Bible. I don't need to pray. I don't need to be prayed up. I don't need to total deception. You need to be as equally prayed up as a pastor. You need to be as equally sensitive to the Holy Spirit as a pastor. You need to be as equally discerning as anybody else, because it is your field. You are the king. You need to know. I will quote the Bible story for 9 Christians just once. David, every time when he was at war, he was a king. We all know him, King David, one of the greatest kings, if not the greatest king to ever walk the earth. Every time before, when he had to do something, he always inquired of the Lord. A king, he always asked God, should I pursue these people? These people have come for me, they've taken everything I have, including our wives. Should I follow them, Lord? He is powerful. He killed Goliath. The guy can, you understand, he can squash an army. But he then decides to ask of the Lord. And that's important. In business, you need to know that. Otherwise, you will go choose a battle that you are not supposed to choose. And ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to the end of today's webinar. Now over back to you, Tiamo, for the Q&A. It was a little bit different, I know. It added more things that you had not seen previously, but it is necessary. These are some of the things that we need to address as well as in preparing you to become the great property gurus that you are about to. Thank you. Over to you, Tiamo.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Abelatlali. I really like that. And what I have taken for myself is involving children from a young age. I really like that. And I'm definitely taking that on, where at the end of the year, now you are asking them, let's see how much you have saved and I will double that for you. I really like that. Okay, we have a comment now from Nzika in the comment section, and I just want to remind everyone that this is the time where you can ask questions. This is the time where you can raise your hand. Whatever input that you have, now is the perfect time for that. Nzika is saying, hi Bo, you are done already. I was having so much fun, thank you. And we have a comment as well from, I think it's Mr. Thabo Pitsi. He's saying, awesome presentation as always in China. Tobeka is saying, on the topic of building wealth, which would you recommend? Would you recommend owning properties through a family trust, as in starting a trust and buying property and registering it under the trust, or do you recommend adding heirs as owners of the property after death? Which one do you recommend? Let's take on that question for now, and then we'll go back to the comment section, or I'll check whose hand is up in the meantime as you answer that one.
Sorry, thank you. That's a good question. My mic was muted, sorry. All right. Look, I just addressed it earlier on, Tobeka, that it becomes very tricky to just say it out like that. It can be, because I know better, I would even go as far as saying that would be irresponsible of me. It would be irresponsible if I were to just give a general advice on it. Because I can say family trust, but then it depends how you are acquiring those properties and what you are doing with those properties. Because then if I say I put them in a family trust and they're exposed to a serious high risk, or one of them, the properties there is exposed to the high risk, it exposes other properties and then it becomes null and void. So that is why I would say we will get in touch with you and we can be able to assist you. If you need us to guide you through that process, we can be able to assist you to say which entity is which for which property, which is good for which property. You understand what I'm saying? So there's no general answer. I'm sorry, there's no general answer. I can't be irresponsible like that. I can't give a general answer for that. Thank you.
Okay, all right. We also have a comment from Utlobisa. Utlobisa says, brilliant presentation. This was so helpful. Thank you so much, Utlobisa, for that. We also have a hand from Mr. Pitsi, but before we take Mr. Pitsi's hand, I just want to ask everyone, in the meantime, as we're going to take Mr. Pitsi's hand, I'm going to ask that we please switch on our videos. I will be taking pictures during the question, and with your permission, please allow me to take a picture of you as a participant of this webinar. Thank you. Mr. Pitsi, this is over to you now. You're welcome to unmute your mic. Thank you, sir.
All right. Thank you very much, Program Director. Used to functions, sorry. Yeah, anyways, first of all, yeah, once more, kudos, awesome presentation. Let me just tell people, Mchana, that's what we used to call each other at varsity. They mustn't think that you see. Yeah. Anyways, so my question to you is, property is an investment, right? It's going all well and you're making your income from the tenants. And now came COVID-19, and we know around about April, by May, we got to a situation where now your tenants can't pay. Like, for example, in my case, I know I was sitting there and checking, I think just around Bloemfontein, found myself having a close to 70,000 liability per month, which is the money that, you know, most of the properties are still bonded. You still pay to the bank, and now these guys are not paying. Now, all of a sudden, it doesn't feel like an investment anymore. So, what's your advice? What would you advise to people who go into property where they think, you know what, I'm going to buy properties, put tenants and start making money, and they think it's all. And when situations like this come, they realize it falls now back on you. So I don't know, what can you advise them?
Okay, that is a great question. Of course, one can tell that it is not a thumb fact question. It is a question that comes from experience. Listen, we addressed a big part of it previously, I think in the last week or two, when we are addressing paying ahead on your bonds, when we're talking access bonds and we're talking finishing your bond faster. Now, one of the ways we advise people to do, because it's a day one deal, we also advise people to pay extra on their bonds. That's number one. Now, when they pay extra on their bonds, they are ahead. Please check that on YouTube channel. It will really assist you a lot. They pay extra on their bond. We highlighted a couple of things. They become ahead if they have access bond on their property. They then have funds that they can use to cover up in moments like that. And there was also an option for most banks, mostly during this time, to can speak to the bank, to can give you the holiday for that period. Other banks gave a holiday. Other banks said, look, we'll just extend your loan period by this time. There's definitely ways that we guide and we advise people to prevent such already now in advance. And this COVID-19 was just the best time to prove that is needed. So we walk the stages and the steps with them already clear now. Now, let's say now this is already the situation. I did not have an access bond. These people are not paying. Now, I want to also allay another, or rather put to perspective another fear or concern that may come. What happens is there is a place that keeps records of tenants that pay generally throughout the whole country. The average statistics of a tenant that pay on time is only 68%. 68% of tenants that pay on time. And then it moves over to over 90-something% of tenants that actually do eventually pay, but they pay late. Now what happened during the COVID with that statistic, it changed and it shifted, and it did not drop as much as people thought it would, or it did. It only dropped down to about 65.8%. So it only dropped with about 3%, honestly, in terms of tenants that were not able to pay all the way in totality their rent on time. So that at least people can understand that. Because what happens is people know they are staying in this place. Now, that 3% were the people that some of them, a good percentage of them were the chance takers that knew, because now evictions cannot be done, you are not going to be able to evict them. So therefore, they were taking chances. Now, here's the situation at hand now. What then do I do next? Now, with that liability, we can be able, one, to talk to the bank to forward that liability to the next month so that we can plan properly. There is many other things that we can do. The situation is here. The 70,000 bonds is looking at me. What must I do? Where can I go? Now, what you do not want to do is to make a harsh or a hasty decision in deciding whether to sell or in deciding whether to evict the people. Because then what happens is there always is a relationship that is there between landlords and tenants. Even if there is an agency managing those properties, there is a relationship and those are the things that we sometimes overlook as landlords, that there is a relationship. People form a relationship with the place they stay in. People form a relationship with the landlord, even if they've never met the landlord, because the relationship is formed by how quick is the response in fixing things. How quick is the understanding in the months when I cannot pay the rentals? With the times that I pay ahead, is that considered when I cannot pay the rent, when I've lost my job or whatever? And that is how the tenants form that relationship. So what the worst thing then that one a landlord can do, or you can do in such a situation, is now to turn against your tenants during that time without even knowing and understanding what happened. So what tenants needed during this time, most of those that were faithful, not those that were taking chances, was the landlord to understand. And most tenants were willing to be able to extend and pay later and talk and continue payments when they can do that. That were being honest. So I would say engage the tenants, engage the banks, try to manage the situation first before making any hasty decisions. Of course, lastly, if then you have no choice, you are falling far behind, you have engaged, you have done everything. It does happen now and again. Mostly when you have got a big portfolio, then you just sell the property. And it will be easier for you to sell even during this time if it was a good buy from the beginning. Remember, I just said now you need to lower the risk by buying right. So if your price and everything you bought right from the beginning, in moments like that where you are pressed with certain properties, then you let go. One day I will share my story. It has happened to me as well before. That is why I'm able to share these things. Almost everything I'm sharing, I'm not sharing from me. Just for everybody now to know, not answering you anymore. For everybody, it's not just I'm sharing, I've learned this, because somebody else asked me the other day that you look so young, how do you know these things? I have experienced so many things, I've tried so many things, I've done so many things because my risk appetite was too high. I'm an experimenter in general, and it has backfired now and again, and I was learning so that I can be able to do it right and do it better, quicker. Because I believe in make the mistake as soon as you can, so that you can learn from it and move on and do things better, quicker. Thank you. I hope that answers you, sir. And I hope the next questions will not be as deep because those deep ones need longer answers for the sake of time. But nonetheless, yes, any question is welcome.
Awesome. Mr. Pizzi, are you satisfied, sir, or do you want to have a follow-up question?
No. Thank you very much. I think I'm happy. Thank you, sir.
Awesome. All right, everyone. I don't see any question from anyone, but please note that we have 1 minute left. You are welcome to write your question quickly or put your hand up. Can I just ask, as I've put in the comment section, please put your video on. I'm taking the last round of pictures, please, as we wait. Otherwise, Mr. Dlali, please say your last comment before I adjourn today's webinar.
Hey, there are some faces I want to see here. Put that video on. I will call you by names. No, I'm just joking. I'm just joking. Listen, guys, I want to reiterate this, because most people do not understand this. I had never said this information before. Most people that are coming here have known me for a long time. Others from varsity, others from even high school, others I grew up with. This man, I'm feeling old already, but well, I'm in my youth. I've never shared this before. I grew my portfolio to big figures over time, and I've lost things, and I've done 1, 2, 3. I've gone through a lot, and I decided not to. Some of this information you will never get it shared to you by anyone ever again. Some of the information you might even have tried to Google and you don't find it. That's how hidden some of the information is. I'm asking you to not take it lightly. At any point after the lockdown, the webinars might end and whatnot. But I am sharing this information because of one reason. I want you to prosper. Simple. I want you to create wealth and build legacies. And because we have the skill, we want to help you do it conveniently. The biggest temptation is you might want to do it on your own. You are not a professional unless you are a professional property practitioner. You are not. I have lawyers on this webinar. I know a lot about law, mostly property law, a whole lot, a serious lot, but I've never tried to open a law consulting thing. I've never tried. When I do anything legal, I always consult, simply because I am not a qualified person. Try to get your advice when you're doing something. Get assistance when you're doing something. I've seen so many people go to auctions to try and buy property. They've lost money. They've lost property. So many people, they try and they buy and they can't move in because they think, no, because I'm an accountant, I'm educated, I'm qualified, I can do this. No, you are a good accountant, but you are not a good property practitioner. Neither are you a good lawyer. So I'm asking you, when you need assistance, do speak to a professional to help you. Of course, I will invite you to my house. At YDT Group, it's a one-stop property shop. Confirmed, checked, agreed by the world's biggest universities, the first and the only one in the whole world, as it stands right now, where you have agents in-house, construction in-house, bond origination in-house, and even convincing attorneys in-house. Though we have convincing attorneys in-house, they even work with others. So we have construction, we still work with others. We have all professionals in-house, architects, everything you need in-house. And it is the best place you can be. If you need assistance, be in touch with us. We will be able to assist you in growing your portfolio. Many have reached out for assistance. We're doing great. We're going places. Thank you very much for tuning in. Share with other people so that they learn this information. And like I said, at some point it might stop after, but I gave a promise that it will be here up until as long as the lockdown still stands. After the lockdown, I'm still not yet sure what is going to happen. Nonetheless, thank you for tuning in. Have yourselves a great weekend. Stay blessed. Go think hard how you are going to build your property portfolio. Thank you very much. Stay blessed. Bye.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much, everyone. We truly appreciate each one of you for joining us every week. And I've seen so many people sharing now these webinars when we advertise them. Thank you so much. We really appreciate you. Thank you as well for going.